Good God.
What name was that?
All right, red alert. This is not a drill. Oppressive Darkness is back and it's busted to high hell. Play your cards right and you'll be seeing as high as a 65% increase to your damage. Let's cut the BS and cut straight to the point. This season, we received a new artifact called Breach and Clear. It's absurdly expensive on your energy wallet at a 9 out of 10 total energy slots, but damn is it worth it. This is essentially Oppressive Darkness 2.0 with a chance to deal damage against bosses, champions, and when you break an enemy shield with the damage you're using it for, plus any other weapon or super you might be using. While this is going, any weapons stowed away are automatically reloaded upon the application of the debuff. We initially discovered this during a friend stream while we did a prophecy run. Her name is Silver Spear. Link to her channel is in the description and the footage is from her stream. I randomly pulled this out against the boss and noticed that while we were only on the first plate of the first damage run, we'd already ate through an entire third of her health. So we decided to test it out and break it down. Turns out it applies a 30% buff to the enemy for about 10 to 11 seconds upon initial impact, or in Anarchy's case, the first tick, since it doesn't apply upon impact, during which they are also taking damage from the grenade launcher you just used. So if you used Anarchy or Wither Horde, the ticks take the damage increase as well. We tested a bunch of items to see if this would stack up with other items, and while Tether and Divinity didn't stack, Weapons of Light did. While Breach and Clear is a debuff to the enemy, Weapons of Light is a buff to the player which increases the output of their weapons. This means that the 30% for Breach and Clear and the 35% from the Weapons of Light combine to make a staggering 65%. And that's not all. With perks and mods like Vorpal, which adds a 15% increase, and Boss Spec, which adds an 8% increase, you can even build that up prior to the debuff since it adds on to the base damage of whatever you've just done. This is all prior to the debuff or the Weapons of Light buff. The ramifications of this are insane. What this means is there is now a better alternative to Divinity. With Divinity, you'll have the struggle of not dealing as much damage as the rest of your team, and that is always a dilemma for the Divinity player. Now, with this, there is essentially a hidden 7th player applying the debuff while you are able to keep dealing damage to the boss with the rest of your team. Now, I know a lot of you might like numbers, so let's go into some small numbers so we can further prove this and show you just how crazy this is. Going back to my friend Silver's clips, during our first instance, you can clearly see her go for the headshot on the Celestial Nighthawk, hitting a staggering 195,897. This was before we applied the debuff. We didn't know it was going to be this insane, so I applied the debuff a little late. Now, we didn't quite clear her on the first occasion since we just kept wiping, but when we went back in the second time, we made sure we applied the debuff first, and then she went for the Goldie, and it pulled out a staggering 256,213. Wow. No Weapons of Light, just the debuff alone. Now, of course, Weapons of Light does not stack onto Goldie or any super. As a matter of fact, you'll only be able to use Breach and Clear to buff yourself. But if you have someone that's constantly applying that debuff, or with either Anarchy or Wither Horde, you're going to constantly see the ability to apply that same amount of damage. Whether it's a crit, it might be smaller since it's a body shot. We didn't do enough testing. Unfortunately, we didn't have the time for it, but it's still an insane number, and I have even more. In this clip here, you can see me dealing damage onto the Glassway Nightfall boss. Initially, I was dealing 10,494 damage per tick, but I dropped the bubble on top of myself, giving myself Weapons of Light, which immediately upped the tick to 14,166. Another 35% bonus. There's more numbers out there, so I highly encourage you to do your own testing, see what works, see what fits. We didn't have enough time to test all the potential possibilities, but we got to around, I want to say, maybe 80% of them. While we were testing, there was an instance where we applied the debuff and threw Divinity on as well, and it resulted in lesser damage. We weren't able to quite replicate it. However, just keep that in the back of your mind as you run through your own individual testing. It can happen. It might be a momentary glitch that happens every blue moon. However, we don't know, so keep an eye out on that. So that wraps up this video. I just wanted to keep this short, sweet, and simple. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, or if we missed anything at all. I don't claim to be an expert on damage testing and would love some tips on how to improve this in the future. If you want to talk to me about this in further detail, feel free to come visit me on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/itskbalpha. I stream every day in the mornings except for Wednesdays, and I would love to get to see you. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all later.